What is going on, guys? Joey here, and this is being recorded live on Twitch. I'm posting it on YouTube. This is how I'm going to do my YouTube videos for a little while. As you can see in front of you, we have a bunch of random notes. The topic we're going to be talking about today is sticking points. Is it worth it to focus on them? Spot training. The reason why I want to talk about this topic today is because as of late, I've had a couple lifters sort of come to me and they feel really self-conscious about their lifting in a specific point. For example, let's say midway up on a squat or halfway up or at lockout on deadlifts or right off the chest on bench, something like that. So many people have this worry or they're afraid of, they see it and they think it doesn't look good and they focus on it and they're just like, oh man, like I need to do a bunch of close grip bench or flat dumbbells or I need to do pin squats from my sticking point or block pulls to work on my lockout or all these different things. So, work on chains to work on the lockout of the bench or squat or whatever. So I want to make this video today to give my take and how I kind of go about addressing these issues. It's probably going to be different from what most people do, but this is just what I have found to be very effective, and I think what most people should do is focus their time on these areas. So what happens if you assign accessories to address the sticking point? I think there's like a right and a wrong way to do this. In my opinion, I mean, at the end of the day, someone's gonna get results doing the wrong thing, but that's because there's so much variation in genetics. But anyway. Basically, what's going on here is, let's say I have a lifter that is weak, halfway up on their squat, right? For me, the right approach is to just keep squatting. They're going to have that sticking point. That sticking point is going to be there, whether you are squatting 500 pounds, 600 pounds, 700 pounds. The same person, like take me for example, they're going to kind of have a sticking point. That sticking point is going to stay with them because a lot of your sticking point is going to be, it's a leverage thing, right? It could be a genetic component to it. Maybe you lack the amount of muscle to move through that plane of space, but it usually has to do with like your start position, what kind of how long are your femurs, how long are your arms, how long is your torso, the things that your body has to do to keep the weight over your center of gravity. Is going to play a role, as well as your leverage and how you have how you're built with muscle and things like that. It's just gonna play a role. It's gonna determine where you're gonna stick, and sometimes you're always gonna have that sticking point, but that doesn't mean, like you would think. I could see how, like, if you just look at someone squat and go, oh, they're sticking halfway up, let's add pin squats from the sticking position. The problem with doing that is, one, so I have here in the notes, we have energy economy, right? So everyone has like a X amount of energy. It's somewhat finite that you're going to use. You can increase it, but everybody has a certain amount of energy. It's like when you start your training session to the end of the training session. If you stay in that training session and you are exerting effort after X amount of time, you're going to degrade over time. We can argue that the best results you're going to get with their training is going to be, right when you get into that workout, the first hour, 90 minutes, everything you do in those first 90 minutes is going to be the highest quality of work. Your form is going to be pretty solid. You're not going to break down as much. Of course, you will a little bit towards the end. So you want to make sure that when you're in that the sweet spot, right, when you have a lot of energy and things are maintaining, that you're focusing that energy on the most bang for your buck thing possible. And the way that I like to do it is with the competition lift, the squat, the bench, the deadlift. So we're going to start the workout with the squat, the bench, the deadlift. If you start the workout working on a weakness, right, with the pin squat or whatever, you are now taking what could have been put towards working on the entire lift, getting full range of motion. Like if you take basic bodybuilding principles, right, and you apply it to powerlifting, you're going to go against that by You know, all right, I'm gonna start my workout off with pin squats. Sometimes I like to start workouts off with pause squats, just like a single or something similar like that. If the person has trouble working on depth and they need to find tension, and they need to learn control or a tempo squat or something like that, that's fine. But we're still getting full range of motion. We're doing the entire comp lift. Um, we're not gonna waste energy on that partial. I absolutely despise partials. It's not fun for me. Thank you for the follow, Arnie. Thank you for the follow, Arnie. I don't like wasting you know, a lot of time and effort on a partial like that. Now, some people listening to this are like, they hate me right now. They hate it, they hate it, they hate it, they hate it. If you spend your time working on that, let's say you do it after the lift, that's a little bit better. But like I said, I would prefer to do it with a movement or something that's going to give you full range of motion. I like to work the comp lift and then target body parts, like from a bodybuilding perspective, to build that area up to allow you to, you know, kind of increase that lift as a whole, right? That's the whole sort of theme of this video, is we want to get stronger as a whole. The sticking point is going to be there. For a lot of people, I'm not saying you can't completely change somebody's form. Hell, I know people that squat narrow stance in flats, and every time they squat out of the hole, they tip forward and their hips shoot up, and that becomes a massive sticking point. I can eliminate that sticking point completely. I could just get rid of that sticking point. They're going to have a new different squat, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to tell them, hey, move your stance out 6 inches on squat. That's it. Instead of tipping forward, your knees are gonna come out and you're gonna go up and down. Okay, you're gonna keep all that weight over your center of gravity. You're gonna go down. You're gonna come up. You're not gonna tip as much. Simple, simple, simple. Instead of moving the footing, very simple solution. People will be like, oh, you need to bring up your quads. Oh, you need to bring up your back, or da 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 da. Now, there are going to be instances, as I'm getting to with my boy Mikey coming up, which you guys can kind of partially see in the background, where you are going to move your stance out as wide as it can be before you start to lose power, right? If you go too wide, then you start to lose power. If you go too narrow, then you know you're gonna have to fold more on yourself in order to hit depth and things like that. It's just not an optimal way to squat. So for some people that are gonna have some tip, they're gonna tip like you don't want to go any wider because you want to make sure that they're using the most of their muscle, right, in the legs, and they do still have a little bit of a tipping. What I like to do is prescribe a full range of motion movement, right? It even gives even more range of motion. That is going to be a somewhat harder version of what they're doing. So for example, if we squat low bar, high bar, we're going to work on high bar. Why are we going to work on high bar? Because like I said, it's going to give you full range of motion. You're going to place the bar a little bit higher, so you're going to kind of mimic what happens when somebody that already has their footing in a proper place and they tip forward. I mean, technically, you could take someone that squats narrow, get them really strong on high bar, move them to low bar, and they'll still tip, but they're going to improve. Yeah, so with Mikey, we gave him high bar, and it really, really, really made a huge difference in his low bar squat, right? I'm going to show you guys 2 different examples here of him having the same sticking point. He's going to have the same sticking point, but we're going to do one. This is at Worlds 2018. This is a 683 squat. And you guys are going to see, like, 1, I'm very proud of myself for calling this RPE 10. 2, this was like a 10 right here. This is the ultimate sticking point. This is why it's important to have a strong back. This is why it's important to just build yourself up. Now, that was 683. Now we're going to go to, what is this, the last Arnold, 73 weeks ago. 73 weeks ago. Damn, that's a long time ago. This is 5 kilos more. He's lifting more weight. He has a sticking point still. Let's roll it back. He's moving more weight. He still has that sticking point, but it's a lot better now. He still has a sticking point. So the sticking point did not go away. He still has that, but he's lifting more weight and it's moving better. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, damn, I'm wearing the same sweater in both videos. That's just a good example of a way to increase and you can get stronger. You can definitely get stronger, but for him, with his footing, you're gonna have that sticking point. Now, obviously, this is like more weight. It's moving way better. Probably had 700 pounds here. So increase in 7.5 kilos, right? Estimated. Same sticking point. Like I said, you can still get stronger. We did not get rid of that. We're not gonna get rid of that. That little tipping that he has, we're not getting rid of that. That's not something that's gonna go away, for Mikey, right? I mean, he can only get so strong, and we can only allocate so much of our energy to that accessory movement, right? So just showed you an example there. Sticking point did not go away, but we lifted more weight. Now, granted, this is like I could have gone back even further. I could have showed you him when his max was 550, and he had a really bad sticking point, and then showed you 700 pounds and whatever. But for the sake of this video, yeah, that's what I wanted to show you. So sticking point stayed. We did not focus on the sticking point. We focused on getting stronger as a whole, able to lift more weight. That sticking point stayed with him, but the sticking point can only be fixed to a point, right? For example, if you take sumo people that are slow off the ground, they are always going to be slow off the ground. For the most part, they're always going to be slow off the ground, but that does not mean that they can't lift more weight. That you could just have the sticking point, accept it, make sure your form is as good as it can possibly be, accept your sticking point. Look at me on deadlift. I round my back, and I have a hard time locking out. Thank you for the host, Bren Baloney. Bologna. I know there's no G, but hey, we make our own rules here. Anyway, so yeah, full range of motion. We just used Mikey's example. We talked about energy economy. I also don't like doing partials because you're adding stress from a non-specific point. Specificity is the comp lift, the full range of motion, right, down and up. When you add stress from that sticking point, now I mean, sometimes you get injuries. You're literally applying stress from a point that you never would. You're normally passing through that space, right? I would say, also for enjoyment, nobody likes doing pin squats. I don't know if you guys have ever tried block pulls, but I get crazy pain in my shins. I did them years ago. Crazy pain in my shins because I am initiating the pull from a spot that I never normally would, right? And I would rather use that time to really build up the amount of volume I can do on the comp lift. So yeah, takeaways. More range of motion, in my opinion, is going to be the way to go. It's also going to be more enjoyable. You're going to be working with the comp lift. You're going to familiarize yourself with that lift better over time, which is going to make you more effective at picking numbers from each day, better with RPE, learning more about yourself as a lifter. If you absolutely are someone that absolutely loves partials, like you grew up on them, that is all you know, that is what you love, and that's what you want to do, and you have to do them, you could do them at the absolute end of the workout if you have the energy, and you want to do some pause deadlifts, or you just like doing chains or whatever, and you truly are convinced that it helps you. I cannot say 100% that it's not going to do something. Right, you're gonna anytime you have a bar in your hands, you're gonna get better. But do it at the end of the workout. Make sure you get the majority of your work in with the competition lift, full range of motion. I could see an instance where you have a lifter that has very limited recovery capacity, like my big boys, for example. Like we could take Jesus, and let's say I give him competition deadlift once a week. And, I want to work on something. I want to work on his grip or whatever. So I have him do like 2-inch just holds, right? So we load the bar with some heavy ass weight, and he stands up with it and just holds it there from like like 2 inches or whatever. Or maybe you want to work lockout or something like that. Sure, I could see you guys doing that, but I'm telling you, you're going to get the most bang for your buck focusing on the full range of motion, focusing on building your body. Think about like you're going to take some of bodybuilding and powerlifting and combine it, because at the end of the day, we're trying to build muscle on the comp lift, right? It's a very practical way to do things. And yeah, I've just seen like tremendous results doing things like this. Even like for the squat, if you're doing single leg press, full range of motion all the way down, all the way up, not only is that going to hit your leg from different areas that you're not normally hitting in the squat, But you're just kind of building the legs as a whole. It might maybe you get into a missed groove on your low bar squat and you like pull something, um, and just having that extra strength, that extra muscle, I'm telling you, it's not gonna hurt. So yeah, that's my take on sticking points and spot training. I hope you guys are able to take something away from this video. If you're watching on YouTube, let's get a hashtag keys. Hashtag keys in the comments down below. Thank you guys so much for listening, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Peace. All right, Twitch boys, I'm back. We back, brothers.